they were.
We're hot on my side. Devon's going hot on the streams. We're crossing the streams right now.
Ray.
All right, here
you
we
said
go.
Crossing the streams was bad.
What about the Twinkie?
In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the weekly episode of the Freelancer Codex podcast. Your host, Steven, and co-hosts Mike, Devon, and JD are all set. Join us and tweet your questions at Freelancer Codex. Find us on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com. Strap into your javelins, and let's drop in.
Welcome, freelancers, to episode 108 of the Freelancer Codex podcast, the longest-running Anthem podcast on the internet. We are back after our bi-weekly break, and it's good to be back. We are actually with you. Today is the what? Today is the day of all days for all Mass Effect fans. It's November 11th. That's N7 Day. N7 Day, I'm sure means something.
Wait a
Did
second.
you say November 11th?
November 11th?
Today's November 11th, and that makes it N7 Day?
No, today's November 7th.
Is it the 7th?
Yes, it's only the
Today's the
7th.
7th. That makes
Well, why
more
would it
sense.
be the 11th?
Steven's
So-
paperwork for work today is all messed up.
Steve.
Today was a really interesting work day. I went to the dentist. I found out that I have a rogue tooth growing out of my gums, causing me a lot of problems. That's weird. I'm
That
going to
is
have to
weird.
get that pulled out.
I
But
went to the
today
dentist today,
is
too.
November 7th, and that is N7 Day, which everyone loves to celebrate for the BioWare franchise Mass Effect. So JD, why don't you give us a little history of just a little history, JD. So when I say a little history, just a little snippet, N7 Day, what it means to you, kick us off, because really Mike, Devon, and I mean, this is like BioWare, Anthem is BioWare for us, so I don't think we have any history with N7 Day other than it's November 7th. So JD, give us a quick rundown, what it means to you, why, how, when, where, what, because.
So N7 Day was just a date that was arbitrarily picked. Well, I won't say arbitrarily, but it's based off of N7, which is the Special Forces ranking for the Alliance Systems Navy in Mass Effect. Fans get together every year, celebrate it on Twitter, online, on Facebook, social media, all that. Little disappointment in getting, significant announcements this year's, but that's to be expected. As for what it means to me, it just means fans coming together and celebrating the franchise that we all love. It's got a special place in a lot of our hearts for maybe not the same reasons, but the people who are aware of it and celebrate it, like I do, it means something similar to all of us. So.
Very cool. Well, I am excited for all the Mass Effect fans. Hopefully there will be something Mass Effect coming down in the future, and everyone will get to go and enjoy that universe again, because Mass Effect is, it's one of the biggest franchises in video game history. So hopefully that'll come back in some form or another from the team. We also got Tal Pelig is the animation director for Anthem. He was tweeting out some pretty funny animated GIFs from characters from Anthem today.
Mhm.
So those are really funny. So if you don't follow Tal on Twitter, you should go do that. Let's see, I think it was Rico Flores actually created the Shepherd Shuffled emote for Anthem. So they were kind of having fun with that and having everyone do the Shepherd Shuffled, which I guess is a pretty popular thing. It's not the same as the Truffle Shuffle, which I got it confused with. Those things are very, very different. So
Very
happy N7 Day. All right, so let's do this. It has
Cupid
been
Shuffle.
265 days since Anthem launched on Origin Access Premier. That's all. We're pretty close. 4 months, and we're going to be rounding on a year of Anthem being released. It's been 23 days since the recent seasonal Season of Skulls event has launched. And 23 days sounds like a lot. It feels like it's been a lot of time since that has been released, since we're going back to the Cataclysm again with a couple updates. And I wanted to touch base with a couple of things. We had some feedback from the last show from one of our patrons, from one of our bosses. So Iron Aquila took umbrage with us for not talking about a couple of patch updates from the last patch. Used some pretty strong words that kind of stuck with me for the last 2 weeks. I think he called it a biblical error, an error of biblical proportions. Now, I don't think we like call down the plague or like call down hellfire
Locusts
from
shall
heaven.
descend
you
upon
know.
you.
Yeah, I don't.
You weren't
but-
plagued by locusts?
So, Devon, did you want to talk about? Did you want to address this for Iron Aquila, and just kind of go over the changes that he wanted us to talk about, the changes to flying, and then changes to gear and weapon damage output?
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of talked about a few things, but the biggest change, right, when you're flying, I think that he wanted to talk about was when you run into an object, you no longer just fall to the ground, right? So if you're flying, like Mike or JD, they run into things often because they're still trying to master flight.
Right.
And they run into things,
Oh, Devon,
they
let's not lie
they stop
to people.
and just hover. And so I think it's pretty cool. It's a good feature to have in there. Obviously, people don't want to drop to the ground. For me though, I don't mind dropping to the ground because when I hit that and I hover, because I run into stuff all the time, I just push B, or I can't even think of the button right now currently, and drop to the ground so I can
Y.
keep running and then take off again.
Yeah.
So I mean
And-
that's
and
just
I've
what I've become
mastered
used
flight,
to.
so I never
right?
crash.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to get accustomed to the new flight mechanic, but it's a good one for a lot of people. So I know he thought that was more game changing than what did you say specifically was game changing, Steve?
And to be fair, a lot of these changes in the last patch for 1.5.0, there was a lot in there, and we chose things that we thought directly impacted us or were interesting to talk about, like the salvage all feature.
Yeah.
One of the things that is hard for us to do, there were a lot of balance changes to weapons and to gear, but the way Anthem is structured, it's so hard to be able to tell, like, okay, this damage increase from like 250 to 300, this is what that effect looks like, because random inscriptions are a thing depending on what your gear build out is. Like, if you have a character and you can tell a difference because that's the build that you use specifically, I think that's great and that's fantastic for you. But it's hard to talk about that, and for me to be able to talk about the stuff on the Colossus, the stuff on the Ranger, and stuff on the Interceptor, even the stuff on the Storm. Like, I have a build that I use, but even like looking at some of the changes that were made to the Storm, it's like it doesn't mean anything to me when you tell me that these little changes have gone up by a little bit. And it's not to say that those aren't important for other people, because they can be for other people. It's just not important for me because loot doesn't mean much right now. So it's hard for me to get excited about those changes. If loot was something that I could get excited about, like inscriptions were easy, gear was easy to get, I was able to make multiple builds quickly and efficiently, then I think I would get more excited about that. But because we can't, to me, it's just like, all right, here's the changes. Maybe they're just doing this for the future to where it's actually going to mean more. But to me right now, looking at all those changes, it just doesn't mean much to me personally. So that's why we didn't cover it. So, that could be a mistake in the future. We'll be better about that, pointing those things out. But that's just where we were coming from.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
well
those
said. I mean,
changes
it's
didn't
not-
make any difference for my build. I didn't change anything as well. So it is hard. I mean, we all want, we've talked about loot repeatedly, and we're going to keep talking about it. And even after they eventually change to the new, whatever their new loot system is, we're going to talk about it then. So it's always going to be a hot topic. And so we understand people want to talk about that, and we appreciate the feedback. And like Steven said, we'll add more next time.
And hopefully by us not talking about it, we didn't just like murder all the firstborn of every family that didn't paint their doorways, red with the blood of a new lamb. So, okay. All right.
Getting-
I get distracted by my own.
Biblical.
Yep.
By your own
That's from the
jokes.
Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just-
sorry.
they're not
Okay,
funny,
so
just
housekeeping. You can call us and leave us a message at 505-386-7917, or you can leave us an email at freelancercodex@gmail.com. That's the place you can do that. So, couple of bits of news that we have. First thing that we will cover. So Chad Robertson has left BioWare after 14 years. I can read his little statement here. If it opens, click. So Chad says, this is my last week with BioWare. I've been with the company for 14 years, and I'm grateful for everything I've been part of here. Star Wars, The Old Republic, Anthem, the Austin studio, and BioWare are in good hands. You can expect great things ahead. So this is the fourth person that we have interviewed on the show that has been on the show that has left. So
Mike's still there. Okay, I'm just gonna say
Mike is still there, but he's not on Anthem, right? So we're just focused purely on Anthem. So everyone that we've interviewed that worked on Anthem is no longer working on Anthem. I don't know exactly what John's doing, but so I guess the curse continues.
Do we
so...
take that personal? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think
For,
after 4 times you really have to.
For all you
I don't-
BioWare execs out there, anybody want to schedule an interview with us? We, believe it or not, have some openings. So
yeah, kind of
more than happy to have anybody
for
on the
future
show.
interviews. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chad is gone. Chad was kind of when Ben left. He was the quote unquote face of Anthem, just because he's the only one that posted an update to the blog. So by default, he was the guy that we're saying, okay, Chad must be in charge, right?
Yep.
So now that Chad's gone, we still don't know who is exactly is like lead developer, lead producer, or lead head of the live service for Anthem. So we don't know who is steering the ship. I don't know if, like, I guess I would like to know who's doing that, but I don't know if the person that is doing that would like people to know who's doing that,
To
right?
know.
Because right now,
to get
I mean,
all the
it's
flack.
It's kind of a that's kind of a sucky kind of
It's
thing.
a thankless job. It's a
It
tough
really
position to step into right now and be like, all right, you're in charge. Here you go. Here's the Twitter account. Like, I mean, I guess it could also be a good opportunity for the team to be like, all right, this is the person in charge. We would love for you to get to know this person. He or she can be reached at this Twitter account. Like, send feedback, because I would like to know who's, steering the ship. I would like to know who we can, like, say, reach out to if there's an issue. Be like, hey, what's your philosophy on this? I mean, right now it's dark and no one is saying anything. I mean, they're tweeting out some N7 day stuff today, which is a lot of fun, and that's to be expected. But still, as far as communication goes on Anthem, we're still not getting any. We did get a tweet today that the PTS is going up tomorrow, and we'll talk more about that as we get into our main topic. But other than that, it's just kind of been there really hasn't been anything. And I think we should probably stop expecting that, because if we haven't gotten anything by now, they're probably just not going to tell us anything until they start talking about 2.0 sometime next year, right? We know they're working on it. They said so in the blog post, and I think that's what they're looking forward to. So maybe they're just like, hey, we're going to be dark until this happens. So
Yeah, I mean, it seems like
whoever's still playing the game.
they're dark until they drop some content, and I mean, it's understandable if you look at any of their tweets or anything else. Just the sheer amount of negativity, because people are like, hey, I'm on the internet, I can say whatever I want and just be a jerk, and
no consequences.
they can't be like, hey, I don't like this game, so I'm just gonna move on and play other games, but I'm gonna keep hanging out and make sure everybody knows that I hate them, for some reason, because that brings me happiness. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't blame them in any way for not being like, hey, we're gonna keep posting stuff when you're just all negative all the time. I mean, there's obviously we're not all negative all the time. There's lots of people that are still trying to be positive, but then you post something positive on their post, then you just get thrown upon by the mobs of people who just want to hate because, hey, it's made by EA, or they're upset that they paid $60 and only got 100 hours of entertainment out of it. I don't know. It's crazy.
Oh,
I mean,
I just think it's like, I think, again, and when this has happened before, and I said it then too, they need to have somebody step out and make some effort to control the narrative. Because from like just the perspective of like most like gamers who just have like they're just aware of what they see on like your average gaming site and that sort of thing. Like, what was it? Polygon the other day posted up the article about Chad Robertson leaving, and basically just used it as an example of basically a signal that they're like all the higher ups who were working on this game or who were controlling this game have left. It is a sign that this game is going down. That narrative that continues in the gaming media of Anthem being a total disaster. And the whole thing is that players, and I think like there needs to be some kind of reassurance at some point, because the whole thing is that it's kind of like if if somebody believes that someone else is dead, they're going to be really hard to believe that that person is alive again if they do ever come back. It's like what is it, like what was it, Sinbad, the comedian from the 90s? A bunch of people thought he was dead. He came out with a stand-up special and people were like, that guy's still alive. Like it's one of those things where it's just like, even if Anthem does make a big return with 2.0, if the narrative is already this game died a long time ago and we're basically just holding up the corpse to try to make money off of it, then I think that's what most gamers aren't going to buy into 2.0 if they're just having a passing awareness of it.
I think most people should think like, well, I mean, I would think if you're looking at it like, okay, all the lead people left or whatever, they moved on to different projects or they're not working on it anymore. I would think that'd be an opportunity for them to be like, all right, we've got these new leaders, and maybe they'll do that for 2.0 and be like, these are the people that are running things now, and this is the direction that they have been leading us. They did that when Casey came back and all this stuff, and I think that's a good opportunity to just be like, okay, we're still here, we're still doing what we do, regardless of what people say or think, but we have a new leadership working on the game, and it's going in this direction, and we've been listening, and I think there's a couple different ways that you can obviously go with everything that happens, but I think you are right that they should, I would prefer anyways that they actually say something as to, the way that they're doing things now as not saying much.
Well, the timing is just weird. I mean, like N7 comes around the same day every year, but it's just like having
unless you're Steve, it shows up on the 11th.
That is true.
Having Chad Robertson leave and then no reassurance from BioWare or EA regarding Anthem in its current situation, aside from the community Cortex and the PTS update, that isn't really it's just a notification of things changing the game, and there is like any kind of like public reassurance of the community. But it's just like there's more and more stuff basically saying that there's not a lot of hope left for Anthem. And then we have this big old day where we're like, hey, we're still thinking about doing stuff with Mass Effect. So I just feel like they could have, I hope they give some kind of reassurance, because to all my friends, it's like, the game's not already dead yet. It's like, it's hard to talk to them.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get that reassurance. So I don't think you should hold your breath, unfortunately. It's going to be, this is how it is until, I said don't hold your breath.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so a couple things. We'll talk about the PTS here in a little bit. So we did get a couple weekly updates. So we got week 3 of the Season of Skulls Cataclysm. Week 3 brought the Titan Challenge into free play. I believe. Yep, it was the Titan Challenge into free play. So you were able to go into complete the 3 events. You can go do the bonfire, then you can go do the little matching puzzle thing, and then you can go into the what's the underwater tunnel called? I have it on the tip of my head. Tip of my tongue.
Yeah. The campfire one? I can't remember the name of the
No, it's the one with the torch where you go down into the tunnel. I forget what the name of the tunnel is.
The campfire.
So you go complete those 3 things, then you go find a Titan in week 3, and then you get to check that off the box that you completed that. So week 4, we actually have a little swarm tyrant encounter that we can go do. So I completed this encounter yesterday. So I jumped in, went to go do my free play events. Still had some issues with that bonfire completing for some reason. For some reason, it we completed the challenge, but the time was so close on the overall timer that when we completed and said, hey, good job, we did this, they were still going through the dialogue options and it ended. I don't know. It was really weird, because every time we would try to update the fire with the fuel after we defeated the Scar Heavy, it would not update it past the time that we had left on the thing. So it was kind of weird. So it started us at a time where there's no way that it would finish based on a couple issues with that. So I don't know if that's a bug or if that's an issue that they were having, but I still had trouble with that completing. So I went out, came back in, completed the 3 events, went down with the torches, did the matching event thingy, and then did the bonfire. Then I went to fight the Swarm Tyrant, because I was actually excited to see what they had done to the Swarm Tyrant, if they changed the look of the model or what they did. So going into the Swarm Tyrant's lair, they changed that up a lot, and there's a lot of extra skulls, and it looks really cool. They kind of updated the lair of the Swarm Tyrant. The fight was still the same. It was pretty straightforward. There's a couple of bubbles on the ground that you can stand in that will protect you from the storm. So that was kind of different. It was a fun encounter. I kind of wish. Well, I shouldn't talk about this now. So that was the new event that they had for week number 4. So you could check that off. And we've got a couple more in order to beat the Indomitable challenge that we have, in order to get the cosmetic armor set at the end of the challenge. So that happened in week number 4, and they have the updated post of who completed the Cataclysm and who got the best score in the Cataclysm. Congratulations to everyone that did that. Hopefully they do something more, instead of just put you guys in the community, guys and girls, into the community Cortex, and they put you somewhere in the game, because I think that would be a lot of fun, because I don't know how many people actually read the community Cortex update to know that, hey, these people are the best. So hopefully they do something more with that. We also got 2. So we had 3. They just posted the newest lore update a couple minutes ago. But we got lore stories about Perndle Blatch. He's the fort custodian, and it talks about him and kind of what he does, battling a fire that the Sentinels set off inside the fort. It's a fun story. It's pretty cool. I like Perndle because I think safety is really important. And a lot of times we just laugh at the people that are like, super aware of safety. Like, oh, you're stupid. You should loosen up a little bit. But safety is important. Devon and I both work in an industry where safety is like super, super important, or people could die. So I guess, for me, coming from that perspective, it's like, hey, Perndle, you keep doing what you do. People will laugh at you, but hey, less people will die. So
I enjoy it, because I have said some of the similar things that he has said, but just in regards to radiation, because that's what I deal with. But some of the things that he has said are funny, because I'm like, oh, I totally said that too in the last safety meeting I had.
Yeah, you should just you should see how many lines from Perndle you can get into all the next safety meetings that you have. And then we got another
children.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell those children to stop touching radiation.
Don't touch it.
And then we got another story titled Lighter. So the first story was written by Kathleen Rutsart, who was the lead writer on Anthem. Lighter is written by Jay Watamanayuk. Lighter is about a textile vendor that is traveling from Fort Tarsus to Anthem, and he gets in trouble, and his strider goes down, and it's a story about him trying to survive. Pretty fun stories. They're not long reads, but I'm always excited when we get more Anthem lore, and I think these are kind of the stories that I really enjoy.
Mhm.
They're just small stories. It's not like, hey, you have to go save the universe type story. It's just, this is what some of the people that live in Bastion have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and it just makes that world feel more lived in. So I actually recorded a couple audio, I guess audio, what would you call it? I narrated both of these stories, and those are up on our RSS feed. So if you want to get access to those, you can go there. I had a lot of fun doing it. Did a little bit more on the lighter story as far as sound effects, music go. And so I think we're going to continue to do these. We also put up the Outlaw Ballad we recorded, and we put on our RSS feed also. So if you like those, let us know. If you don't like those, tell us to stop doing it, and maybe we'll stop doing it. But I really enjoy doing it. I enjoy the lore of Anthem. So you could tell us to stop, but I'll probably keep doing it anyway, because I kind of enjoyed it. So yeah, your feedback is welcome. Unless you tell me to shut up, then I probably won't shut up. So we'll keep doing those. And then we've got a new story that dropped today that was written by Mary Kirby. So we'll dive into those later, and we'll talk about that on the next show. All right. Yeah. So I think that's all the news that has come out from the last 2 weeks, unless I missed something. I know EA games are coming to Steam. I don't know how much of that is like new, exciting news for most people. I'm guessing that they're finally like, all right, we branched off from Origin. This isn't working as well as we want to. More people will probably buy the game if it's accessible on Steam. So
well, they're also going to have EA access on Steam. So, they're a business, right? They're obviously trying to do things, and and hopefully this will give more people an opportunity to, at least on PC, to maybe try Anthem in the future.
I mean, as far as my thoughts go, like a store is a store. It doesn't really matter to me, but a lot of people it actually matters
A
where
lot of people on
they
PC
buy their
freak
games
out.
online. Yeah.
I'm talking about you, Kegs.
So yeah, we're talking about you, Kegs. You know that. So hopefully this brings more people to buy their game. I don't know if they didn't mention Anthem at all in the little press release that they sent out.
I mean, they're
but I
bringing
mean, if
EA
people have it
access to it later, so it'll have the vault. So I'm sure it'll be there.
Right. So hopefully this will get more people to get hands on. So hope that happens.
Yeah.
All right. So we had last week, people had noticed that the PTS client said it was going to update over the weekend. When we asked questions, but we really didn't get an answer until someone else got an answer on Twitter. That was a mistake. That they are updating the PTS, but it's actually going to go live tomorrow. So that'll be the 8th. And we'll be able to jump in and we'll be able to test something out. They did not say what we're testing. I imagine it's going to be the winter update that they were talking about, but there's no confirmation of that. I mean, we haven't. I would be really surprised if they're like, "Hey, here's a new stronghold. Go test the new stronghold." So I'm guessing it's the winter update. Now I don't know if that's going to be if they're going to reskin the Cataclysm again. If they do, I'll be super disappointed if they're just reskinning the Cataclysm to the winter event. I don't think any of us would be excited for that. I hope I'm not speaking for you three by saying that.
It would be pretty tough if it was just a reskin. I mean, the Cataclysm is fun, but we've been playing the Cataclysm for a long time, and I don't know. I mean, maybe if they had a different Cataclysm somewhere else, but I mean, that's a lot of work. I think they don't want to just make that work disappear. So maybe if they kept it around and you could still go out there and do things, but yeah, I mean, they need to have different mechanics.
I mean, talking to you three, how much time have you spent in the Season of Skulls Cataclysm?
None.
Not at all? You haven't been there at once?
Nope. Because the whole thing was that aside from the N7 armor packs and the Season of Skulls cosmetics that I picked up when they popped up, the whole thing is that I just didn't after running the Cataclysm so many times, I just didn't really feel like there was enough of interest for me to jump right back into that. And especially because it wasn't I've said it on other episodes of the podcast. The activities from the Cataclysm, they don't really do much to move you towards any of your other long-term goals in Anthem, Champion of Tarsus or anything like that. And it had no purpose. I'm very short on time these days, and so it was a question of, do I want to spend my hour or so of gaming, a night, running, maybe one or two runs of this reskin version of the Cataclysm, or do I want to play the Outer Worlds? And I played the Outer Worlds. I just logged on long enough to get my armor and support N7 Day and do all that, but it just had no interest to me. And if it doesn't change, it's still not going to have any interest to me.
And I think that's very interesting that the big draw, when they dropped the N7 armor, there was tons of chatter on Twitter about it. People were, Paul Tassi did a write-up in Forbes about it saying, hey, this is really awesome. Where's the rest of it? That was the biggest draw that I've seen on Twitter about the Season of Skulls, was just them posting armor and then people opening the store, buying their armor and leaving. And I don't think that's good, right? Now, the Season of Skulls armor set that they did sell in the seasonals in the featured store, I think that they had an opportunity, and I know why they did it, because they want people to spend money in the store, because they had really cool bone looking armor sets. If they would have put those in the Cataclysm, then they're losing out on that opportunity to make money, because they're not making money if they're in the Cataclysm. But if people are playing the game, though, I think that ultimately, don't you want that over making money right now? like maybe I'm way off base, but you know what? If they put those armor sets like behind some of the challenges in the Cataclysm, maybe it's behind, hey, you know, we do have a challenge right now that you have to complete 30 of those world events in order to complete a challenge, in order to complete the last challenge. If there was an armor set behind that challenge, you know what? I probably would go do that challenge and complete it if there was a full armor set behind it. And if there was an armor set behind, you know, just, you know, killing, you know, 757,500 enemies, if there was a full armor set behind that, you know, I'm not 100% sure I would go do that, but I'm probably
you'd be more
89% sure I would go do that.
Yeah, there's
I
definitely
mean-
more of a draw there. I definitely think that that kind of stuff, the cosmetics, I think that should be part of the loot table, and I would like it if it were part of the loot table, or even get it for completing versus just having it in the store. So I definitely think that, and I agree with you that they did it for a reason, you know, to make the money off of it, which is fine. It's not a big deal. Make your money. But I think it ultimately did hurt in the long run. Even if the, you know, the chance of getting it is there. Let people still buy it if they want to buy it, if they're not getting it, but also, you know, if the chance is there to get it, go ahead and just put it in there.
Yeah, because there has to be, I mean, there has to be incentive to actually play the game instead of just log in and buy something from the store. Because
Yeah.
that's, I mean, unfortunately, like that's how I feel about it. Like it's like, okay, I can buy this armor, or, you know, and unfortunately there is armor sets at the end of the Indomitable Challenge and Season of Skulls, but just the way those challenges are structured, I have zero desire to complete them. They're not fun to complete. It's not it's not enjoyable to go in there into the Cataclysm and be like, all right, guys, you go ahead and do the Cataclysm. I'm just going to go kill stuff and look for skulls. Like, even though this is the activity we're supposed to be doing, I'm not going to participate in the activity. I'm just going to go do this other thing in order to complete this challenge. So that there's that disconnect that just doesn't make it fun. So going forward, if let's say, hypothetically, if the PTS is for the winter event tomorrow, like, what do we want to see change from Season of Skulls to the winter event that will actually get you excited about participating in the seasonal event? Devin, we'll start with you.
Okay. Well, for me, since I didn't get to answer the last question, but I have
I
played.
already knew your answer, so I didn't think we needed to answer.
Okay. Well, you know the answer, but not everybody does.
Fair enough. You can
People
go
get
ahead and
upset
answer
when we
if
don't
you-
talk
if you
about
want to.
everything. All right, Steven? They get upset when we don't talk about everything. That's fine.
Answer
mean,
the question, Devin.
I've played a good amount, but I had trouble last week, and it kept crashing after I would going to do the Titan. It was really frustrating because I would lose connection to the server when I was in fighting the Titan, and so it made me very angry. And so I haven't played.
Understandable.
I haven't played since then because I was upset. But I do want to go in and do this week's challenge. It sounds fun, and because I love the Swarm Tyrant is awesome. It looks amazing. So I'm interested in doing that. So for me, to get me excited, I'm hoping really what I want is more strongholds and events like that. So what my hope is to have multiple strongholds, and if not multiple strongholds, at least one new stronghold, and for them to have changed up, one or two of the other strongholds that we currently have.
For the winter event, you want them
For the
to have
winter
new
event.
strongholds?
Yes, I'd like them to have at least one new stronghold, to put into the game. I honestly I haven't played a single stronghold, in months, because there's zero reason for me to play the strongholds. So I mean, when they're segregating the loot table, basically, right? When you have to play the Cataclysm to get crystals to be able to get the good gear, to the level 80 gear. So it gives you zero incentive, to play any other part of the game. But even that incentive is, I mean, I go through and I'll play the Cataclysm, but I'm not playing it a ton. And usually I'm just going through on probably hard, just so I can run through even by myself, and I can get, enough crystals where I can buy one legendary piece. And then that's enough for me. I play through it and I move on. And because really I'm enjoying the free play events. Those are fun. They're just not very rewarding. And so, I mean, Their economy. I mean, that I know they've or at least they posted that they were hiring someone or looking for someone to help with that a long time ago. And I mean, we don't know who's there, who's not there, which is fine. But I mean, really, things need to change on how the reward is. Like you were talking about the challenge for the armor, and I was going to bring up. Well, right now, currently, they don't have a good track record with challenges for the most part. They're either really easy, or if you do accomplish them, you get the reward you get for accomplishing them is not very good, or it's beyond ridiculous amount of time investment that it would require to get the reward, and again, that reward is not worth the time spent. So they definitely need to work on that economy. And so, I mean, I would love, strongholds or a similar type event. I love the armor. I mean, seeing the armor for Mass Effect, granted, the Interceptor armor is ugly as butt. And I still bought it because, I was like, well, I got to have it for my Interceptor, but I'm never going to wear any of that because it's super ugly. Sorry to whoever made that. I still love and appreciate you and all your hard work.
You just offended every Mass Effect fan that loves.
You just insulted the entire.
That's cool, man. We can all have
and
different
the whole
feelings.
flotilla.
Not everybody likes the same thing. Not everybody likes vanilla. But I would love more armor. I mean, the armor is amazing. They do a great job. The modelers, the artists and everything, they're doing a great job. And I just want more of it. And I want it now, right? That's my money, and I want it now.
Don't care how
But,
I want it.
I mean,
now.
it's so amazing. There's so much possibility every time you see the game, and they can do so much with it. And I want them to reach that, and I want them to achieve it. And it takes time, and sometimes, my patience wears thin.
Yeah. So let's workshop your stronghold ideas, because I think going back to the strongholds is actually something that would be like, I would be okay going back to grinding out a couple strongholds for the next event if they have good rewards. So what do we have to do to them? Because I'm going to assume that they're not going to come out with a new stronghold, just based on what we've seen in the track record. Like I doubt that it's a new stronghold, and I don't think that they would release it in a PTS.
Crush my hopes and dreams.
Here's our new. Yeah, I just don't think that's going to happen. So what do they do to the strongholds, Mike, in order for you to get them to go back playing them? Is it just a facelift? Do they need new weapons? Because I know new weapons was a huge draw to the first Cataclysm, and we didn't have that this Cataclysm. So do we need new weapons? Is it just challenges to get new armor? Things are going to look different?
I think maybe if you're able to, I think maybe changing some mechanics, because echoes and what would you call it when you're standing? You're standing
time
in the
plates,
middle. You have to,
time gating
plates,
you, basically to slow you
echoes,
down.
time gates, things like that, relics. Where granted, those are huge parts of the game, and they're in every aspect. There seems to be echoes everywhere. There are time gates everywhere. Pull out your dink and put it in this, and kill the swarm that comes after
family
you.
show, right?
Whoa, hang on.
Yeah. So I think maybe changing up some of the mechanics. I don't know how you would do that though. So I don't know what mechanics you could replace with, and what would lend to the lore and the
New
story
enemy types,
and
right?
things. I think maybe new enemy types could work, but not just a reskin of enemies, because we've seen that before in games where we're like, oh,
I mean, that's happening
it's
now,
this again.
currently.
And not reversing levels and just having you run through backwards. I think that the strongholds need to be revisited. It'd be cool if you could see data on how many strongholds are run in the course of a week or a month or whatever.
They can see it.
I think they have potential.
They have
I really liked the Swarm Tyrant. The Heart of Rage was fun. If you kind of tilt your head. The Scar Temple was okay. But even then we got some new mechanics in the Scar Temple. So maybe even running, mixing and matching kind of thing, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I know, because I know that I mean, it's not my job to say, make it easy, but it could be.
No, it's not our job, but like I always said, it's not our job to do it, but they can do it. I mean,
Or you
Just
know what?
because
Maybe
it's hard doesn't mean they shouldn't do it. We're not gonna go to the moon because it's easy. We're going because it's hard.
maybe even Prindle is like abducted by the swarm tyrant, or like he went to go clean it or something, and like there's a story aspect involved where we're going in now, but now we're going in for a reason. Prindle's in there, or one of the characters from from the fort is in there, and we have to go get him and have some story tied to it. So something like that could be fun to do. Because really, I mean, I haven't used any of the new weapons that we've gotten in the Swarm Tyrant Stronghold, and I think that could be fun to see how effective new weapons are against a guy that we fought a bunch, because we ran that Swarm Tyrant a bunch, and so I
Yeah,
think it would
I mean,
be cool
we did
just
it
to
a lot.
check it out. We did, so I don't think it would be hard to give even to go back into something and make it fresh and new. But I think if we get the Cataclysm again with another skin on it, I think that would be a bad choice.
I agree, because and I think changing up the encounters in the stronghold, there's not a lot of them that I can imagine would be too difficult to be like, all right, instead of stepping on this plate for a while, we're gonna turn that off, and now there's just a different thing that we have to do. Maybe it's grab some keys, go in, we have to unlock a couple cages from inside, this over here. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard, I would think, to change that up a little bit. And I think that would be one of the easiest things to do. It's like, okay, this is different. Before, you would go left, I would go right, you go down the middle and shoot the things and blow it all up. Because right now, especially with all that high level gear that we do have, like, it's pretty easy to go through Swarm Tyrant and just kind of face roll this time, Storm Tyrant. So change that up a little bit.
And just adding some of the existing Cataclysm mechanics to the strongholds, with matching shapes and matching symbols, pylons and things like that. So like I think your formula is there and you have all your ingredients. You just kind of have to put them together in a different order. It's like Taco Bell. Taco Bell has 28 things on their menu, but they're all the same 7 ingredients. And
Yeah, but I don't know
go
if
to
you
Taco
want
Bell,
that.
well, I mean,
Because eventually you see through that, and then you realize you're eating the same 7 ingredients. But I understand for something like
if
this,
you haven't
it's
realized
probably
that
good
you're
to mix
eating
it
the
up.
same 7 ingredients at Taco Bell, then you're a little slow to the party.
I guess that's true.
Late to the
So
party?
so then, Devin, what do you do with the challenges? I mean, is it just all right? Kill 1 billion people and you'll unlock this challenge, and then I guess what I guess they could do. They could just add scores and leaderboards to the strongholds. That's something that we talked about a long time ago to see what score you get in a stronghold, and that would actually be a lot of fun. I think if they don't put a timer behind it, because I really hate timers in video games, it's just a false sense of hurry up and do this or you die. But
Yeah.
adding a score to it would actually be really cool.
I think.
But Devin, how do you fix the challenges?
So the challenges, I think they just need to,
So if we're workshopping this for tomorrow, like whatever you say, that's what they're going to put in, and that's what people are going to test tomorrow. What's your idea?
So I mean, the reward system needs to be changed, right? So they currently give out. I mean, it's they never give out the same type of reward for what you're getting, right? So you could have a challenge where it's just finding like the finding the 10 skulls and going and lighting the pyres. That was a fun little thing. It took an hour or two, and you got that reward versus time investment was perfect. They gave you.
I think I agree. Also,
I mean, that was like their best challenge and reward yet. For the whole game.
Agreed.
Because you got a
the
vinyl.
Grabbit helmet was pretty good. The Grabbit helmet was pretty good too.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It's just not, I mean, it's a fun nod to the Grabbits, and some people like to wear them all the time. I mean, so it's cool to get those kind of things, and those are good examples of good positive examples of the challenge system. But I mean, it's really hard because how they determine. I mean,
that's what she said.
how they determine vinyls versus just giving you a little tiny picture and then to put on your gear, and you don't I mean, you don't get to move around, and so it's hard to decide what they need to fix because the reward system, I just don't I would prefer more armor to go around it, even if they split up the armor pieces. Where it's just like you can get a helmet from doing this one, or you can, even if they
Or
don't
you get the
have,
legs here, you get
yeah,
the shoulders there. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they could have a lot of different sets that you don't even have to match, because a lot of things I don't wear full armor sets anyways. I always
Yeah.
up them out. I mean, I know some people
I'm
obviously like with
surprised that
the
you have to
Mass
buy.
Effect, armor sets are going to go together because they look good. Besides the Interceptor, again, sorry for whoever made that, but
I'm not a fan of the Storm either, but that's just me.
yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I would love if they gave you more gear pieces. Not gear pieces, armor pieces for challenges, and they can just pick different parts, and you can make a cool set of armor legs or whatever. But have them be, a decent reward would be armor for your entire, for all the javelins. Okay, you complete this challenge, you get a set of legs for every javelin. Or if you want to make them specific, you can do that as well. But make it worth it, so that you at least you can chase those ones if you're only playing for that specific javelin. So you can have javelin specific challenges and get gear. I keep on gear, but armor, cosmetics, and I mean, there a lot of their system needs to change. But I think for me, it'd be better if it was more about the customizations. I would prefer if they would actually drop in, from playing the game, like the vinyls and other little. I can't think of the word right now. They're not vinyls.
Graphics,
They are decals.
Decals.
And if those dropped from enemies, I mean, that would be great. I mean, you should be able to get decals from big bosses and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be awesome when those dropped while you're playing the game.
I mean, and there is a lot of cosmetic items from the Elysian chest that have not returned, like the breakdance for the Interceptor. That's the only time we've seen that. So there's still a lot of stuff in there that can drop, and I agree with you. But if they're going to put it out on the PTS tomorrow, like my thought is, what do they do, right? Because they're not going to revamp the whole system in the next couple of weeks before the winter event comes out. So I agree.
Or what you hope is a
splitting
winner
up
event.
the
There's no
cosmetics,
confirmation
so it's
there's a
not.
winner. Right.
I mean, they said that there's 2 events, right? Like there's going to be the Season of Skulls and then what they were calling a winter event.
Okay.
But to
So
Devin's point, we don't know that that's what it is. We're just speculating that.
no,
it's
we
gonna
don't. I mean that's the only thing I think that they would put on a PTS.
Could be a
for
Boxing
tomorrow.
Day event. I don't know.
I guess that's true. I didn't even think of that.
Different. Yeah, it could be something completely different.
The world is
Yeah,
not
I was
revolved
thinking
around
in my-
America.
I know. I was thinking in my American mind that they would never have a Boxing Day event, but it's like, well, it stands to reason that they've got a studio up in Canadaria that they would probably have a Canadarian event. So Boxing Day. I should have thought about that. So I agree. Like splitting up the cosmetics, making these challenges not, ridiculously insane, because that's one of the, there's a fine line between, okay, this is too easy, get in, get it done, and now I'm done playing, to, okay, this is way too long, I'm never going to complete this, and I'm not going to have fun doing it, then I'm not going to play either.
Yeah, you
They've
just
got
don't
to
care about
find
it.
that sweet spot, and in order to find that sweet spot, they have to be trying things. And like you said, the hood event, by finding the scrolls, like a Marvel event, the scrolls that are,
Skulls.
shape shifting.
Skulls. You're having a rough time.
It's because skulls and scrolls. I've got it stuck in my head now. So, or was it the krill or the krill? I don't even know. So
Yeah, it's the
that was a
krill,
good.
the tiny things that whales eat.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense either. Marvel's bad at naming things. So they do have good examples of things that they can do right, and I hope that they listen to feedback. Like if it is the winter event, everyone that is listening, go to EA forums or whatever and provide feedback on that stuff. I don't know if that was something that people really provided feedback on, like, hey, this challenge is way too long. We did see a lot of like bug issues and all this other stuff, but go look at the challenges, provide feedback on whether you think those challenges are too long to complete or too difficult. And I hate to say too difficult, because going in and killing things on easy is not difficult, right? It's easy to go into the Cataclysm, put it on easy and just kill stuff, but it's not fun.
Right.
And that's the point of, you have to have that balance of fun to like, oh, this is actually something I can do, and I won't just like bang my head against the desk to do. Because I know a lot of grinding is not fun, right? But you also have to have that carrot on the end of the stick that you feel that you can reach in order to encourage you to finish it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not going to go for this new armor that at the end of the Indomitable challenge, because it doesn't sound fun to me to go into the Cataclysm and do that. So I'm not going to do it. Right. I'm going to take a moral stand and say, even though I want every set of Storm armor, I'm not going to complete this challenge because it does not sound fun to me. And if I were to go do it, that would just be me saying, oh, look, you are going to do it no matter what, whether it's fun or not, you're going to go do this. So I'm not going to complete it. Go ahead, JD.
I think having the cosmetic rewards like armor be a little bit more attainable at like maybe like a 50, like if they cut the requirements like in half or comparable to that, I'm not sure how you would balance it. Like basically like you do half the work, you get the armor set, but if you do 100% of this activity, they have like a variant of the same armor set. I feel like that'd be enough for the hardcore people. Like for example, it's the same set of armor, but except maybe it has like some kind of particle effect on it, or I can't remember any games off the top of my head that have done this. I know other games have done it, and I'm just not thinking of any examples right now because I'm tired. But it could be the same Storm armor, except like it has like crackling lightning all over it, or it's got like smoke coming from the back, or like something visually more interesting than just the base set. Like it's something that like if you're that dedicated to doing it, like the people who got Champion of Tarsus in the first couple of months, you're going to get it and you're going to end up looking phenomenal. But, at the very least, like if you don't have the time to completely get to it, at least the base armor that is the main attraction there is a little bit more easily attainable, because the research, at least in terms of like storefronts and stuff, is usually pretty clear. The more time people spend around things they can buy, the more likely they are to buy them. And so like having us play more to get these things would probably mean more money for them, as opposed to, oh, you can only get to this armor if you pay. So yeah.
Cool. So if there's nothing else, we will jump into the PTS tomorrow. Devon, Mike, did you have any ending comments you wanted to get out before we shut this thing down and hit the PTS tomorrow?
I think we've covered it. I don't want to speak for Devon, but I think that's it. I think that's what we've got going on. That's the state of the game as it stands now, and we have a lot to look forward to. And I shouldn't say it that way. There's stuff to do, so we need to go in and we need to, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Steve. Comment, get in,
Give them feedback.
Give them feedback, constructive, make it constructive if you can. Don't just say this sucks, because that's not constructive.
And don't just
But
whine,
get
right?
in there and don't whine. Don't whine.
You're
Like,
going to complain
proper
without
etiquette.
providing a possible solution. That's just called whining.
exactly.
Well-
So, like you said, we've got stuff on the horizon, and there might even be a Shaper Storm on the horizon. So,
Woo!
We'll see you on the other side.
peace.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
You can find us on Twitter at Freelancer Codex, on Facebook at Freelancer Codex, or through email at freelancercodex@gmail.com. Join the Discord through the link provided at freelancercodex.com. Our show will always be free, but if you'd like to send some support, you may do so at patreon.com/freelancercodex. Our individual Twitter handles are at Stephen Lamson, at mlamson25, at Neverfear, and at JD the Joke Dealer. Freelancers, it's time to get to work.